Welcome to Leaders in Light, Love, and Legacy. We're airing every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fave Unite Radio. I'm Joy Ruffen, your minister of enlightenment, awareness, and awakenings, and your signature style and leadership specialist. So now I'm not sure, is it good morning, good afternoon, good day, good evening? Maybe to a few of you, good night, but wherever you are, this is a space where we hold conversations that we pray and hope will ignite and focus on power, presence, and purpose, yours, and the beautiful balance of the divine, masculine and feminine. Because yes, we carry both within our DNA. And now we're going to talk about how you can fully align with them. So each week, I'll be joined by a featured guest speaker. You know I have a love fest here. I fall in love with all of my featured guest speakers, and I can say the feeling is mutual because they come bringing their wisdom, their purpose, and what they're all about, their fierceness and their insight, and they're unapologetic about the truth that they share here at this table. So if you're craving more, tune in and listen and make note of the information that they're sharing with you, whether it's more style, more depth, more purpose. You have landed in the right place. So visit my website at joyruffen.com. That's Ruffen with an E, not an I. I wish I was related to David Ruffen. Love that voice. And make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Fashioning, Femininity, Style, and Truth, where the conversation continues and the inspiration never ends. Now, my League of Eagles, buckle in, sit back, relax. I want to share with you a little bit about my featured guest speaker. She's so gracious and so kind. All of you know that I have such a hard time with pronunciations. She has given me such grace, but it's Renee Reisch. I think I'm close, very close. Reisch. I was close there. Let me tell you a little bit about Renee Reisch. After losing her physical voice in 2013, doctors weren't sure she'd ever speak again. But that experience revealed something even deeper for her. So after years of staying silent emotionally and people pleasing, fearing judgment, does this sound familiar to anyone out there? It sounded familiar to me when I first heard it. And seeking outside validations, the wake-up call came, and it became the catalyst for the work that she does today. Now, I could go on and on and on, and so can she. We're a great team. But I want you to just sit back, buckle in, and tune in and help me welcome Renee. Renee, welcome.
Thank you so much, Joy. And yes, you got my name right. It's Reisch. Thank you for the correction. You got it the second time around. Yeah. And I'm grateful to be here and grateful to share our voices together again.
Oh, thank you so much for that. You know, they say the second time around is oftentimes much better. So I do appreciate that. And I love it that you're always so positive with me and you say, no, don't say that. You can pronounce it. It's Reisch. It's Reisch. Right. You see, I have Reisch in my brain, but you have grace with that. Listen, let's hear a little bit about this 2013 when you lost your voice. You share in your voice a little bit about how that happened, what happened, and how you've come to this fabulous work that you're doing today.
Well, thank you again, Joy. You know, what happened is it was like a being hit by a Mack truck. It was something I never anticipated. Mm-hmm. I was going about my corporate role as a manager, running multi-million-dollar teams and taking care of everybody and everything external of myself, everything outside of me. And I was go, like the Energizer Bunny. A lot of energy, putting everything out to everybody except taking care of the girl in the mirror. And that was the one who needed it the most.
When did you get when and how did it hit you that you needed to change? And what was that catalyst that gave you the insight to know I cannot continue like this any longer? I have to make this segue to where I need to be. You knew it, you felt it somewhere. What was that?
Oh gosh, I wish it was that easy, Joy. That would have been easy, but I'm going to tell you, no, it wasn't that route at all. It was a higher power whatever you want to say, God, source, universe, I got very ill. And my best friend, who's one of my beautiful angels in heaven, would actually yell at me and say, slow down, in a very, in a not so nice way. She was very angry because she was she observed my behavior, and she saw me not sleeping. I was constantly going. I was running around, not ever stopping. Any day off I had was not to breathe. It was to do more. I was grateful for the day off to do more work for the company I was with and helping build somebody else's dream. And the more I did, the more they expected of me. And I never felt like it was enough because there was always a higher bar to achieve. And I never said no. I always took on the projects they gave me because I feared that if I said no, then maybe I would lose my job. Maybe somebody else would get the position that I worked so hard for. So I smiled, and inside I was really dying a slow and painful death. And I did everything and more that they ever asked of me.
You know, Renee, thank you for saying it wasn't easy, Joy. And I get that, because even though that question was quick and fast, it could not have been easy because life is a journey. But you know what? You said a lot here. Let's piggyback on a few of the things that you said. That you were building someone else's dream.
Yeah.
That stuck in my craw, because I think in certain ways when we're in a service position, no matter what it is that we're doing, we tend to do that. What is the separation between supporting someone else to build their dream and doing your thing, so to speak? Where does the divide come and how?
I didn't realize I was building somebody else's dream. It was what I knew from the way I grew up. You know, you go to school, you go to college, and you go to work.
Yes.
And that was the path that I had always seen in my family. And that's in the friends I was around. So that's what I did. There was no other alternative. You go and you find a job based on the experience and the education that you have. And so I did. I majored in psychology. I didn't become a psychologist, although many would differ, because I think in many ways I was. But really, sales is psychology, and I was always in sales. And you get to learn a lot about people. Psychology was always about people. So I went into that field in sales.
Renee, that blows me away. You and I are very vocal and very forward and very honest with each other. That's our DNA. We can't help it. But when you said that, you went to school, you went to college, you went to work, that was the system, that was what you did. And then you said you majored in psychology. And I was about to say, building someone else's dream means that even though you're in service, you haven't really gotten to know who you really are, which is
Correct.
what you alluded to and spoke to earlier. But psychology, as I understand it, by the way, I know that I tell everybody this. My sister had 2 master's degrees and she received her PhD in psychology. I went the other route. But you think that in psychology, you get to know more about you and what you need and what you hunger for. Was that not so?
No. The thing is, my wiser self would have said yes. My more evolved self would have said yes. But as I was going through and growing through that period in my life, I was going through the motions of what I knew I was supposed to do after school, after your high school and college, you go into the workforce. And that's what I did. That's what I was shown. And that's where I ended up at that point. And then in 2013, while I was in what turned out to be a 25-year career in that one company, in 2013, I got ill. I ended up leaving the company in 2017. It took a minute for me to say, okay, I heard you the first time, I didn't listen. And now it's time to go. And that wasn't even my choice. It was a decision that was made for me because I wasn't bold enough to make it on my own. I didn't have the courage or confidence in myself, which is something I now teach. The lessons we learn are the things we also teach. Yeah. Because we had to learn them first in order to be the educator. We had to become educated, and in not so fun ways. In my situation, and I don't want to say situation, my case, my experience, my lived experience. Because when you go through that kind of pain and it wasn't just losing my voice. Joy, there's a double entendre here, and I want to make sure the listeners understand that, because losing my voice wasn't like, well, she had laryngitis, she got her voice back, and she went on. It wasn't laryngitis. It was a virus that attacked. And I say the word attack because it was an attack on my vocal cords. Mm-hmm. And I realize now, hindsight is 2020,
right, that
the physical loss of my voice, I truly believe had manifested from the metaphoric loss of my voice in life. Mm-hmm. I alluded to that earlier in this conversation.
Yes.
We look at outside validation for inner worth, having to be, always perform to feel worthy, always to be not performing, but number one in the performance. And the more I did, again, like I said, the more I was given to perform and outperform. And then eventually, running multi-million-dollar teams and departments and taking care of an entire building with a company initiative, I was given that role too. In addition to the other roles I was doing, in the company, it was, again, never saying no and digging my own grave. Literally, I had my own shovel to dig my own grave, and I was making a space for myself. And it wasn't fun because it was the most pain I've ever endured, ever. So viropharyngitis was inflammation on my vocal cords. So I had sores all over my vocal cords. So there was no, here's another double entendre, there was no vibration. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. The vibration, when your chords come together and meet, which I wrote about in my book, that they connect. And when they connect, they form a sound. That's your voice.
Yes.
But the vibration, here's the other meaning, that I was holding was a lower energy vibration and not showing up authentically as me, showing up and performing as I was expected to show up and perform. Never breathing for me, never showing up for me, and not even realizing I wasn't.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable, all of this that you're sharing, because I'm picking up on a lot of things that you're saying. First off, you gave us something that was missing in our beginning. It was a virus that you had that supported you on your vocal cords. But you mentioned that word bold too. And you also, I don't need to know, and I don't want to know the name of the business, but what business were you in? Was it sales, marketing, food?
It was sales, and it was retail sales.
Retail sales, okay.
25 years. And I worked my way up the corporate ladder. I worked literally from a Christmas hire to, executive management, and I was up there and running a lot of different businesses at once in that company. And the more, as I said, I did, the more I was given to do, and never saying no.
That's always the case. But I never told you, but my background has been somewhat retail too. I started off in design and went into buying and all of that. But you mentioned one of my favorite words now too. I've added another for you. You mentioned whatever you're doing, you want to have fun. You want to play. You want to laugh a little and enjoy it while you're partaking of all those skills that you're gathering and you're giving out. So that's what you were missing. And that was very, very clear. You mentioned also vibrations, the vibration of your voice and the frequency and the energy of how you deliver. All of that's major. This work that you're doing now with women, here's something else that you gave me that I really want to talk to you. You spoke to it in different ways, but let's take it a little bit further. Vulnerability. I use sometimes being transparent. Your loyalty, your transparency, and your integrity is everything for me, and it is for you too. How do you bring in vulnerability to all of these things that happen to you and what you're doing now and what you see when you work with these wonderful people that you're working with?
Well, now is different than then. I was not in that, what I created now in the voice blueprint experience and the voice embodiment continuum.
Yes.
Are the very things that I needed when I was going through that phase in my life, but I wasn't evolved yet or evolved enough to understand that I needed me. I needed to show up for me in a different way.
Yes. That experience I thought it was Marcus Aurelius, but it wasn't. And it was Aristotle who said, know thyself. That's what we're all here to do. And in the process of knowing, share that knowing with others as we grow and evolve. And what you just said is so true for most all of us, Renee. It's true for everyone. I don't care what level and what strata you're at. What is it about that vulnerability you think, that transparency that has to be in that journey of discovery to get to the core of why you're here and what you're to do?
It's the fact that when you're not vulnerable and you're not open, then you're showing up as somebody that you think other people expect of you, rather than who you are. And it doesn't allow other women or other people and whoever you're serving to really see the real you, because they are looking at like, how am I going to ever achieve that? How can I ever become that? Because we often look at the REEL that we see on social media, people's reels, their real life versus the REAL of what their REAL life is like and has been like, because they're afraid to show it, of judgment, of fear of not being enough or living to what other people want. But something I've learned, you've got to be you, and the right people will be there with you and for you.
How did you say that, Renee? I missed that. RE something. How was that? How does that go? The real?
REEL life, which is the real on social media, versus the REAL life, which is the vulnerability. Is like, listen, this journey isn't always easy, and you need to know that I've also been there, and I'm continuing on my journey. So wherever you are, if you're not being yourself, your real authentic self, and you're showing up as, well, if I show up this way, people aren't gonna, want to hang around me or want me to be with. Then they're not the people. Then you just made room for the people who are supposed to be with you, and thank you.
Well, I love a play on words. I am a wordsmith in my fashion because of all of my learning disabilities. It's not for the Woe With Me Club, but I never heard this before. But with your permission, I'll be using this REEL against REAL. What a difference, because Facebook and many of the other social media platforms as well, we all want to be seen, heard, and valued, but oftentimes not judging it, but I feel it, I see it, and I know we're just putting too much stuff out there that really it's not necessary. And that's what you're saying about the REAL, because much of it, that's what I'm taking in anyway. How did you come to that, my friend? I love that.
Because I wrote an article for a magazine, and I chose the title because I wanted to write about, I was given some parameters for this magazine a few years ago, and I chose that title because I really felt it was something that people needed to know, and how we often are so attached to our devices.
Yes.
In life, but what is our REAL life? And you said something also. You're talking about the things I'm saying in this interview. I'm going to share something that you just said, and that is, we all want to be seen, heard, and felt and valued.
Yes,
the thing is to look in the mirror, and who do we want to be seen, heard, valued from? Ourselves. We're not. Again, if you're looking for it outside of yourself, then you're still barking up the wrong tree.
Exactly.
You want people to see you, but not for the recognition. You want to share your value with them. You want to give and serve and share with others. You don't want to see like, oh, look at me, look how wonderful. It's like, you know what? Not that it's so wonderful. It's just being real and being authentic in what I've gone through, and letting others, especially women, because as a woman, I know I stifled and suffocated my own voice to make sure others were happy.
Yes.
But who's paying the price, and at what price are you willing to pay?
And Renee, I think we as women, we do that not only with our voice and our presence, but we do that with everything about us in different ways, because our divine femininity is about nurturing. But you said something that I want to dovetail back on, because I really feel, I'd like your take on it, because everything is aligned. You mentioned the word attached to our devices. I'm beginning to think, please give me your thoughts on it. It's not judgmental. I'm just trying to get more of a feel from everyone that I chat with. I think it's becoming somewhat of an addiction. Our phones, it's another type of addiction. We talk about sex addiction, drugs, and so on and so forth. But what about our devices? The phone especially. What's happening?
What's happening is we're like a magnet. We see it. We wake up before you're even out of bed, you're grabbing your phone. And it's like, how about grabbing that time to just be and meditate, whether it's 5 minutes or whatever you do, just to, we got our souls back to live another day, to breathe another breath. I'm not being dramatic. I'm just saying this is really what it is. We're so connected to that. It's how about disconnecting with your device to reconnect with yourself.
I love that. Love that. And you're spot on. And that leads me to something else you gave me that I love because it really aligns with that. Lighting or igniting your inner flame. We spoke to that in different ways, but the way you just express the devices and the addiction, that's what we need to do. How do we start going about that? You mentioned that word meditating, which is hard for me because I'm boom, 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 boom. But yet it's needed, isn't it? Yes.
Well, Joy, that was the thing that took me down, was a boom, 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 boom. And I'm an energizer bunny like you. You know that we go, go, go. But you've got to give yourself space and grace, because how can you serve others if you're not serving yourself first? It is not selfish at all. It is selfless. How do you care for anybody if you're not caring for your body, for your mind, if you're not the gatekeeper of your own mind and your own thoughts? Because thoughts are things. You have to really take time and make time for yourself. In order to fill somebody else's cup, you got to first fill your own.
I love that, Renee. The gatekeeper for yourself. Absolutely. I love it. I think that will stick with me for a long time because it's about getting to know that inner voice, tuning into it. You mentioned that word meditate. Did you start meditating after your 2013 incident? Did you begin? No?
I did not. I'm shaking my head no for the listeners. No. So many things you're saying, like, I wish I could have done that. But the wish is, it's now in hindsight, but I wasn't supposed to be there then. Things happen in divine timing as they're meant to, and divine order. So even though I say, I wish I had been that person. I wasn't supposed to be on my journey. I was supposed to go through this, even though it was painful as all heck. And I wouldn't wish it upon anybody, because I didn't want to live. I fell into that deep, dark hole of depression because the pain was so intense. And I wasn't eating or drinking, or I couldn't swallow my own saliva. It was too painful. So I understand that kind of pain mentally, physically, and emotionally. When we stifle our emotions, we push things down because we don't want to deal with it, or we think our voice doesn't matter. But like one of my taglines is, your voice matters more than your silence ever will.
I love that. I love that tagline. I read that. That's what you sent me. And you said something else, Renee, that was brought to my attention. I think it was last week. And this lady that I spoke to, who is a spiritual healer and gifted person as well, she said that when we stop hiding, the true healing begins.
100%.
And there's so many different ways to say that, but that was her verbiage. And you said it too in a different way, from hiding to healing. Yes. It
is, because we're hiding from ourselves. We're wearing a mask way before masks came out during that COVID time. We were masking ourselves, looking like, how is she doing it? What is he doing? How are they doing it? They're successful. If I do that, I will be too. But that's not true, because it's your own self that you're putting into the work you're doing, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're working for somebody else. You're bringing yourself to that experience, to that table. And whatever that is, it's your own voice, your own presence. And instead of hiding behind it or trying to be like somebody else, being you is what people want.
Let me ask you this, because I don't like to take people outside of the box, but most of us are.
We are, for sure.
Yeah. Meaning, you said something, and I think this applies to women. It's not a judgment, because I've been there, and oftentimes I'm still there. There's a lot of that. You mentioned looking to what others are doing. There's that copy, comparing, and competing.
Yeah.
How do and when do we begin to, which I have and you have, to let that go? Because you have to cultivate and begin to excel in the gifts and the skills and the talent that you have, and not compare and compete and copy what somebody else is doing. But yet we as women, because of our programming and conditioning and the sexualizing of us, somehow it's more prevalent. Or is it my imagination with women than with men?
No. And I'm going to share something. It's not your imagination. I'm going to share something with you that you said a word that's I'm working with one of my clients on, is because in the voice blueprint, that's vulnerability to empowerment. It's excavate to cultivate. And you said the word cultivate. We've got to dig out. That's the vulnerability. Dig out the stuff that's there. And when you're gardening, you don't just put new soil down, or I hope you don't just put new soil down without digging out the old. If you're just putting a new layer on of great healthy soil, but the one underneath was no good, then you never got rid of it. When you clean your drawers, you clean your closet, you're excavating, you're getting rid of things that no longer serve you. So you have the space and give yourself the grace to fill it with things and people who will.
Renee, we've always had this love affair, but you have a way with words. I like to think I'm a wordsmith, but I'm telling you, I love that. Excavate to cultivate.
Yes.
Did you come up with this? Is this original, or did you get this from someone?
No, all of these, I have these downloads of Reneeisms that come through when I'm just in my meditation or whether I'm coaching. They just like a download. I'm like, oh, I got to write that one down. That's a good one. It comes through like it without thinking of like, what can I come up with? It just comes to me and through me, and I share it.
I love that. I have my joyisms, but I get help with that sometimes. But it's a seed, but then I expound on it. But what you have here, I have two things already that, with your permission, I'll start using. The REEL and the REAL, and the excavate to cultivate. I love both of those because they're so spot on. I tell you, this work that you're doing, you mentioned it several times. Expound on it as much as you feel free to do. Don't stop. This voice blueprint that you're about. Tell us more about that.
I knew when I was on my own as an entrepreneur, something that I wanted to create, as I said, the things I didn't have. And the coaching, there's so many coaches out there. The thing that I wanted to create for other women, the things I didn't see out there, solutions to the problems. I don't say problems, I call them opportunities. Because if it's a problem, you don't want to deal with a problem. I'm going to run away and procrastinate as much as I can if it's a problem or an issue. If it's an opportunity, I want to embrace the opportunity. So I saw an opportunity for myself and other women of what I could come up with. And I knew it was going to be voice. I know I love quotes and acronyms because I come up with them all the time. So I thought, what can I do with voice? And there was no chat GPT at the time saying, here, give me an acronym for voice. And so there was nothing that I could even refer to other than myself. So, and Webster's, I was going through a paperback website, like, what's a word in V? I'm going through the dictionary. I'm like, okay, Renee, relax a minute. Just think, because you're smart. You can figure this out. So I said, what's a good word with V? And it had to not just be any word. The voice blueprint didn't have to just be a word that starts with a V or O or I or C or E. It had to be something that was going to be in an organized manner to work a blueprint out. So V was vulnerability. You've got to be vulnerable to start a process. You've got to let things, like, when you get undressed at night and you put your jammies or whatever you put on, you got to take the outer layer off, right? You've got to be vulnerable. So you've got to release the stuff that's been there for probably decades that you've never let go. It could have been in marriages or in any relationship. The biggest relationship is with yourself that you never faced.
Absolutely.
So start there. So vulnerability. And then O is owning your voice. You have to own your unique voice. I don't mean the sound necessarily of how you vibrationally sound.
Right.
But who you are, own yourself. You're different. Whatever is making you different than somebody else is the differentiator. So you don't want to be like anybody else. I want to stand out. I don't want to be like anybody else because I'm not like anybody else. I'm me.
Right. Yes.
So I've got to own my voice and myself, and owning your worth, owning yourself, your value, who you are in this world. And then igniting that inner flame, that spark that's been in there.
Yes.
So you've got, and then C, courage and confidence to build clarity. And then E, empowerment. You can't put any of those before the other one. You can't say, so each of these letters, the words that I intentionally chose to go after the other one, the V, the O, the I, the C, and the E. One comes after the other.
My lady friend, I just received what you were attempting to share with me earlier. I didn't get the voice, VOICE, and how you lined up your bullet points. Now I get it. I have received it full heart. It's brilliant.
And it's called, thank you, and it's called the Voice Blueprint Experience because it's a tailor-made approach to serve you at the highest level. I combine the 5 pillars of the Voice Blueprint with the 5 principles outlined in 6 Sigma, which was something that was just for our military and the elite companies in the world, in the nation. And it brings you to the highest evolved outcome for each individual or group or team or company that I work with.
Now, is this an ebook or how is this presented? Is it an ebook?
I do coaching. I have an ebook and I have my book as well. My book became, I'm going to shameless plug, your 4 times #1 bestseller. It's on Amazon. It's called Finding Your Voice.
Yes.
Unlock Your Chains and Unleash Your Greatness. So actually last weekend, it was a bestseller again. Then 4 times #1 was after it launched. It was February of 2020, then April, May, and June. And it became #1. As I said, multiple times over, and bestseller even after 5 years this last weekend. So I'm grateful because it gives me my voice, a way for my voice to travel further around the world.
Bravo. You know, you're using all of these keywords that I use and I like and I love them because they have clarity and they mean. I always say, because when I was a young lady, I'm a happy senior now and happy every day that I rise. But I heard Les Brown say everyone has greatness within them. So now I say to everyone that I work with and that I'm around, you have a gift, you have greatness, and you have the genius within you. Absolutely. And you are here to allow that to show. And that's what you're saying too in different verbiage, but it's the same thing.
Yes. And yeah, absolutely, Joy. I appreciate that. And also, if you're going to look at the book, hopefully you will, on Amazon. It's a workbook within a book. So instead of getting the one you could get for what is it called? Audible, not Audible. I have an Audible too. I have an audio version too.
For you. Okay.
But instead of just getting the Kindle version, get the actual book. It's 83-page, easy read. There's 11 short chapters. After each chapter, I leave like several pages to write your answers on, and I want you to date them so you can see how you're evolving. So you get it on today's, as we're recording at this point, you know, it's 7/14/2025. When you get the book, if it's 7/15, 7/16, whenever you get the book, get the actual book. You could stick it in your purse or stick it in wherever. It's for men and women. It's not just for women. No. Yeah. Definitely, it's a book that has been read around the world, and it continues to be a real help and guide for many, many people. And it evolves as you evolve. And that's what I love about the way I wrote it.
Woo, I'm just loving this. Did I hear you say it's a book within a book and it's interactive?
It's a workbook within a book and it's interactive. I actually speak to you in the book. Yeah.
That's great. Interactive is always good. I'm just putting together something like that as well. I think that's really fantastic.
And something else I want to mention also with the Voice Blueprint Experience, I have a next level that I also bring my clients to, and it's the Voice Embodiment Continuum. It's a continuation after they graduate from the Blueprint, which is the 12 weeks that I work with them on for one-on-one coaching or group coaching. However we decide, if it's a company, then we do it a little bit differently. And then we go into the Voice Embodiment Continuum, which is the continuation and a deeper dive into, it's more than a continuation, it's a deeper dive into what we excavated that we're cultivating in a deeper way.
I love this. I tell you, Renee, I was going to ask you for the time frame. You gave it to us, 12 weeks, and that's contingent upon who you're working with and what their time frame is.
It's a 12 weeks. It's depending if it's a company, then if we have to, do something different depending what this is one-on-one coaching is a 12-week program that I created that I do with my clients because something didn't happen overnight. And yes, we want the answer. We want it, quote unquote, fixed overnight, but no one's broken. No one's been broken. It's just realigning with who you really were years ago, that you let somebody else's voice seep into your way of living. And that's not the life you're meant to live.
You know, Renee, I just applaud, celebrate, and I commend you. I don't put anybody on a pedestal, but you deserve a tiara because I think the work that you're doing is beyond stupendous and stellar. And there's no question in my mind that everything here is to support men and women to get into the inner knowing of who they are. And one of the things when you get to the I and the voice, igniting your inner flame, all of this work, you could use so many words for flame, the purpose, the inner purpose, why you're here, what you're to do, how you're to serve. There's so many ways to interpret that, but that's what you're doing. It must be very, very rewarding.
You know, it is joy. And that's because when I see the results from the clients I serve, that's when you know that you're here to do that purpose and you're here for a greater good. My main niche is women. So for those women listening, it's I don't serve everybody. My main niche is women. If there's the right alignment with a company or with a somebody that would like to speak with me, I'm always going to listen because we have two ears and one mouth. So listen, and if it's the right kind of commitment to that they're willing to make for this experience, then I'm absolutely willing to hear and take them through that journey. So I am very grateful. And I chose women as my niche because being a woman whose voice was stifled by my own will, not realizing I did do that, and not showing up as authentically me and not speaking up until I no longer had a voice to speak with.
Oh my goodness. Amazing. It's just amazing. You know, this might not be fair again, but I'm going to ask you, of all the men and women that you've worked with, what would be the underlying, I think you spoke to it, but I want to hear it again, reason that they come to you for what? What discovery are they there for?
Well, really, I'm going to tell you, it's they don't realize themselves.
Ooh, I thought so. Yes, absolutely. I really go back always, not to be right. I no longer have to be right. Being a perfectionist, starting out initially, no longer, because the feeling that I have and the knowing now is that we're all here to explore and learn every teeny, tiny bit about ourselves, and then to move out into the stratosphere. So listen, my friend, I have a couple of questions that tie in and relate to the fashion industry that I'm in and the love that I have for it. I combine fashion, entertainment, and communications all together. And then I want you to be thinking about your takeaway, whatever you want people to walk away with. But for now, give me what would be a famous or not so much famous female that you admire for their fashion style, and tell us why.
You know, I thought about this and, I'm thinking, well, first of all, Michelle Obama. And the why is because she uses fashion as a form of self-expression and not to impress people, but to express who she is. And, she's elegant, she's powerful, and she's completely herself. Whether she's like in a bold color or a sleeveless dress or an outfit, she's just always showing up with her own intention of being her, not about a fashion trend, but about her own identity. And that resonates with me really deeply because that's about a woman finding her own voice. And what we wear can reflect on how we feel about ourselves. Normally it does. And sometimes that's the very first way we speak without even saying a word.
Wow. I love that. I love that because you started off by saying it's not about the impressing, it's about expression.
Yes.
And that's what knowing thyself is all about. How are you expressing who you are? I don't know where the time goes, but you've given me a lot of seeds here, Renee. Gatekeeper for yourself. I mean, so many other things. And then this tagline that you have, your voice matters more than your silence ever will. You just have some jewels here, some gems. They're all platinum. So I bid you adieu. But before we go, what's the takeaway? What gem, what pearls of wisdom do you want to leave those who are coming now and those who will come for the replay? This will be airing in August, but for now, what do you want people to take away? I think you spoke to it many, many times, but as succinctly as you can, what is that?
To let them know that they are worthy. And it says it best in my tagline, your voice matters more than your silence ever will. And many do not realize it. And they're afraid to speak. They're afraid of judgment or they're fearing. And on the other side of fear is having faith and belief in yourself. And when you don't, because you've been stifled for so long, you shut down and you get stuck. And then you're looking at other people from the sidelines and you're like, I want to be there. I deserve this. But you're not giving yourself the space or the grace to step through that. And that's where I come in. I'm your partner in this journey.
I love that. You're the partner. You're a jewel. You are. I don't brown nose. I don't sugarcoat. I say from my heart to yours. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to slip you into the green room for a second here, and I'm going to end the show. Thank you, Renee. That was absolutely delicious. That's a wrap for today's episode of Leaders in Light, Love, and Legacy. I am Joy Ruffen, and it's always my honor to be your guide and your companion on this journey, your partner, as Renee just said, because as your minister of enlightenment, awareness, and awakenings, I'm here always for you. So if today's conversation stirred something deep within you, I don't see how it could not. Renee shared so many pearls with us. Don't let it stop here. Connect and join with her. There's so much more waiting for you when you visit with her. And visit with me on my YouTube channel, Fashioning Femininity, Style, and Truth, for more conversations, insights, and style with substance. Whether you're drawn to leadership, style, divine femininity, truth, and all of the above, or simply the power of living boldly. Renee mentioned that word earlier. It's a very good word, boldly and courageous. There's always something fresh, fierce, and soul-stirring waiting for you right here on Leaders in Light, Love, and Legacies. So my League of Eagles, until the next time, be well, take care, stay rooted in grace, rise in your power, and never stop soaring. From my heart to yours, much, much love. Embrace it, embody it, and remember, you're here to develop your style, your truth, and your legacy that we're all building together. So until the next time, much, much love and all the best. Cheers.